Welcome, welcome to our spooky Halloween stream. Hello, hello, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Are we all having a wonderful evening? Happy Monday. Or Tuesday, depending upon where you are. Welcome, welcome to the stream, everybody. I gave today a 10 out of 30. Good lord. With the dad jokes, mess I see. She's on a fart cloud. I am! Do you like it? Isn't it nice? It's not a Skiddo stream without there being a fart cloud of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. Stinky. Stinky indeed. You are correct. Alright, so today we are going to be reading some creepypastas that you guys have picked out. So that's pretty exciting. Okay. First I want to test to make sure you guys can hear this. Hold on. Can you hear the fart noise? Is that loud? Is that too loud for you guys? I just want to make sure you guys can hear that okay. It's a little louder than your voice. Okay, yeah. So, it's using the same thing. Oh boy, how am I gonna do this? Okay. It's using the same microphone as I am currently using for reasons that will be explained later. So, the sound effects that I use may be a little bit higher, a little bit louder than my voice, but they're not too long, so it should be okay. Okay. So today we're reading we're reading creepypastas. Will work as intended. Pretty much, yeah. So today we're reading creepypastas picked up by you guys. So there's a whole bunch of them that I have stored away currently. I don't know how many there are, but there's a decent amount. So I'm just gonna pick randomly. And whatever we get to, we get to. Have you skimmed any of them? I have not. I have kept them completely sealed, and I wanted to be surprised when I read them. So, we'll see what happens. But no, as of right now, I have not read any of them. Just gonna... Yeah. Okay. Oh my god, even better. Yeah, I wanted to keep them so... I wanted to keep them a surprise. I didn't want to, like, spoil them for myself, so I just kept them tucked away and hid them, and yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna go with the flow on this one and see what happens. Alright, so... turn that down slightly. It's gonna be a little bit quieter for you than it is for me, but that's okay. Okay. I don't know if this music really fits the spooky vibe, but it's okay. Okay, so the first one we're gonna read. Let me pick a random one from my list. The first one I'm gonna read is called Slender Man. Alright, so it's about 16 minutes long. Cool. Alright, so this one is called Slender Man. I'm gonna actually make this window smaller so I can actually see chat, because I can't see chat with this open. Alright, here we go. Here's the first one. Okay. Do we have anything on here that's a little bit more ominous? Hold on. These all the ones that are in here. YouTube's being a pest again. Okay, this works. Here we go. So it's called Slender Man. If only you hadn't looked back. Though it was autumn, the day had seemed long and... Oh. Though it was autumn, the day had seemed long and the brief walk towards home short. As the sunlight began to fade and you and your two friends left the playground behind the trudged reluctantly home... What? As the sunlight began to fade and you and your two friends left the playground behind and trudged reluctantly home, there we go, knowing that you would be forced to pick up the games and conversations the next day. The next day? That never came. If only you hadn't looked back. But you had. Turning just for a moment, you had glanced back towards the tree line. Oops. Wow, this is a great start. Seeing the fingers of your branches clawing up towards the sky beside them? The figure. At first you had thought you must be mistaken, that your eyes in the hazy blur of twilight were playing tricks on you. But no. When you looked again, he was still there. Taller than any man could be, thinner than the willowy branches that extended ever up towards the trees. He loomed in the distance like a shadow of some terrible, horrible, dark truth, and you knew instantly that you had looked away. You had to look away, that if you didn't tear your eyes from that blank, featureless face, then soon the blank would wash over you, become you, and you would walk slowly but surely, as if pulled by some magnetic force toward him though you feared him, though you were scared of his unnatural height, the aching blank whiteness of his face, the arms that had seemed to stretch toward you and the slithering tentacles behind. You turned, screwing up your eyes, willing yourself not to look, not to see, not to give in and go to him. You screamed to the others, telling them the same, telling them not to look. But as you opened your eyes, you realized they had already looked. They were already gone. Possibly the most famous creepypasta character of all time, and certainly one that has crossed most frequently into the mainstream media. The Slender Man, also known as Slender Man, is a character born of a variety of earlier influences, but which itself represents an evolution in the uses and development of folklore. Violent real-life events linked to the Slender Man character increased its infamy and even led to a moral panic based around the possible negative influences and danger that the fictional character posed to children. Whew. Slender Man appearance. Though adaptation and modification by various authors mean that Slender Man's appearance can vary somewhat depending upon the source, the most common features remain the same. The character is usually depicted as an abnormally tall humanoid, usually wearing a dark suit and tie. Slender Man's face is almost all complete. Wait, is this just a like a lore, or is there an actual story to this? Gotta run. Hopefully you'll be back soon. Okay, good luck. Yeah, is this just a documentary for Slender Man? I'm confused. Most of them are mostly lore kind of things. Okay. So do I just... Okay, alright, I'll keep going. Slenderman's face is almost always completely featureless and often either white or a pale gray, though in some depictions this blank face does feature an animalistic mouth. Slenderman is often... Creepypastas is the first part? Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I've never read creepypastas before. This is the first time, so... Slenderman is often said to be able to extend or stretch his limbs, particularly his arms at will, and either has tentacles protruding, just visible from his back, or his tentacle-like appendages in place of his arms. The character commonly inhabits liminal spaces, such as the entrance to the woods or a forest of areas abandoned ground on the outskirts of more populated areas. Whilst there are a wide variety of Slenderman stories out there, much of the character's effectiveness comes from the fact that there is no single definitive version, the initial posts that introduce the character being only fragmentary quotes linked to an image rather than an actual short story or complete narrative. Sounds like a wiki page. I know! I know, it does. This doesn't scare me at all. This isn't scary. Okay. Much like his appearance, however, though the details alter, some elements remain as constants, such as the character appearing by woods or forests, enticing children away from their parents and friends never to be seen again. Another common trope is the Slenderman exerts an influence upon the victims, making them as the perpetrators of crimes or violent actions. The character has also been said to cause illness. Oh, what the heck, man? Oh, guys, I found one. There is a story, I think, in here. Okay, hold on. Alright, let's try this one. After waking up with a jolt, the girl laid in a bed a few seconds longer. Reaching over to switch on her bedside lamp, she tried to remember exactly what had stolen her sweet slumber away. When she couldn't, the brunette swung her legs over the side of the bed and heaved herself up. Checking the time on her phone, she snorted when she saw it was midnight, the witching hour. Knowing that Oh, sorry, I can't read. This is a terrible thing for me to do. I can't read. Knowing that sleep would only evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a good cup of coffee on her mind. As she passed by the front door, a chill spread like liquid fire down her spine. It was only winter, she told herself, focusing again on the coffee plan. Measuring out scoops, water, and preparing her cup kept her occupied. But as the dark liquid boiled, she had nothing left to keep her mind from wandering off. The chill returned, and she couldn't help but glance behind her to the front door. It stood there innocently enough, just like always. The dead bolt was still in place, and she could hear nothing amiss with it. Turning back to her coffee, she did her best to forget about the feeling. With her cup in hand, she started back towards the bedroom. As she walked out by the front door, she decided that a quick glance out the peephole would calm her restless mind. The chill worsened with each step she took towards the door and further away from safety and the warmth of her blankets. She pressed her empty hand against the cold metal door and took a deep breath before leading her eye to the peephole. At first, she could only see an inky blackness and somehow seemed to swirl in itself. When she blinked in surprise, the void melted away. She wished it hadn't. In its place, there stood what she could only guess was once a man. The limbs were long and inhumanly awkward, with bulky joints branching off into several arms, not unlike the branches of a tree. The creature was draped in a black suit, somehow making the thing more nightmarish to her. The icing on the profitable cake, however, was what passed as the terrible thing's face. It was as though her mind blurred at the ghastly visage to spare itself further shock and horror. She shoved herself away from the door with the hand still pressed against it. The scalding mug of coffee fell. Good God. The liquid burning her bare legs as she fell backwards and tried to crawl away from the door. She knew, somehow, that her mind had been playing tricks on her. As she crab-walked away from the door, she watched as tendrils She watched its tendrils as black as the void she first saw snake through the cracks. The girl was trapped in between the instinct to flee and the gut feeling to not turn back on the floor. When the door jolted, the urge to flee overcame her, and she slipped in the burning liquid as she tried to make it back to her room. She knew deep down that she was trapping herself in a corner, but she had to get away from the door. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and oh wait, hold on. I need the stupid thing. Hold on. I got this. Okay. Hold on. Unprepared. There we go. Where did I leave off? Okay. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she previously heard a door creak open. She heard a door creak open. Hold on. Where the heck is my stupid thing? I set all this up beforehand and I still didn't do it right. Alright. Third time's the charm. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and slipped into a wall. Are you done? Okay. She screamed and slipped into a wall, cracking her chin on it and stunning her. After that, there was only blackness. Nicole? Oh wait, that's a male voice. Nicole? A warm male voice snapped the woman out of her trance. As she turned around, she was met by one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, not sure if she should say anything, or even if she should find a voice if she had something to say. That morning, she had gotten an urgent phone call from the hospital. I can't do two things at once. This is insane. She got an urgent phone call from the hospital saying that her sister, Lindsay, was there. Before they had even let her see her, the doctors had pulled her off to the side and insisted that they talk to her about what might have happened. Phrases like self-inflicted and assault had been thrown around, and Nicole felt her mind reel. She hadn't fully understood what they had been saying until she saw Lindsay with her own eyes. Her little sister had a bandage wrapped around her head, covering both her ears as well as her eyes. They say it was hard to keep her now deadened eyes from drying out, and to try and keep infection out of the wounds Lindsay had made to her ears. The doctors had guessed that either she or someone else had jammed a pencil into them to keep her off balance or to deafen herself against something. There was a mix of first and second degree burns on her hands, legs, and feet from what were assumed to be coffee, and her neighbors found slipped all over the entry to her apartment. As Nicole walked to her sister's hospital room for the first time, she saw she had spied the silhouette of a man in the window. That, she knew, was impossible. Her sister's room was on the third story of the hospital. That was the end of that. Okay, what is this one? Alright, we're done with that one. Okay, so that was, that was Slender Man. Okay. Looking through a peephole at midnight and seeing someone be terrifying. I agree. Can you imagine just like waking up in the middle of the night thinking you're hearing somebody, and then you literally just go and you check the peephole in your apartment, and then it's just, you just see some person or something standing there? That's crazy. pretty wild, if you ask me. I think it's pretty wild, but I mean... Okay, you want me to read Psychosis? Okay. Oh, Lord, this is long. Okay. Psychosis is super long, but we're gonna try it. Alright, hold on. This one is super long, so bear with me on this. Okay. I like how it literally just says advertisements in the middle of it. I think it's supposed to be... I have a... Oh, is it on? I do. Okay. I have an ad blocker on my browser, so where the advertisements would be, it just says advertisements. Okay. So, next one. Ad block saving the day. Yes, you are correct. Hey, Skiddo, can you search the cyclone from clown? The Silent from clown? I don't know what that is. Alright, anyway. Here we go. So this is an estimated half an hour, about, give or take. For me, it's probably going to be a half an hour, because I don't know how to read. Alright, let me grab a sip of water. Hold on. Okay. Sunday. Great way to start. Sunday. I'm not sure why I'm writing this down on paper and not on my computer. I guess I've just noticed some odd things. It's not that I don't trust the computer. I just need to organize my thoughts. I need to get down all the details somewhere objective. Somewhere I know what I write can't be deleted or changed. Not that it's happened. It's just everything blurs together here, and the fog of memory tends a strange cast to things. I'm starting to feel cramped in this small apartment. Maybe that's the problem. I just had to go and choose the cheapest apartment, the only one in the basement. The lack of windows down here makes day and night seem to slip by seamlessly. I haven't been out in a few days because I've been working on this programming project so intensively. I suppose I just wanted to get it done. Hours of sitting and staring at a monitor can make anyone feel strange. I know, but I don't think that's it. Mood. I'm not sure when I first started to feel like something was odd. I can't even define what it is. Maybe I just haven't talked to anyone in a while. That's the first thing that crept up on me. Everyone I normally talk to online while I program has been idle, or they simply have not logged on at all. My instant messages go unanswered. The last email I got from anybody was a friend saying they'd talk to me when he got back from the store, and that was yesterday. I'd call with my cell phone, but reception's terrible down here. Yeah, that's it. I just need to call someone. I'm going to go outside. Well, that didn't work so well. As the tingle of fear fades, I'm feeling a little ridiculous for being scared at all. I looked in the mirror before I went out, but I didn't shave the 2-day stubble I've grown. I figured I was just gonna go for a quick cell phone call. I did change my shirt, though, because it was lunchtime, and I guessed that I'd run into at least one person I knew. That didn't end up happening. I wish it did. When I went out, I opened the door in my small apartment slowly. Wait, I have to have another creaking one. Hold on. There we go. I opened the door to my small apartment slowly. A small feeling of apprehension had somehow already lodged itself in me. For some indefinable reason, I chalked it up to have not spoken to anyone but myself for a day or two. I peered down the dingy gray hallway, made dingier by the fact that it was a basement hallway. On one end, a large metal door led to the building's furnace room. It was locked, of course. 2 dreary soda machines stood by it. I bought a soda from one the first day I moved in, but it had a 2-year-old expiration date. I'm fairly sure nobody knows those machines are even down here, or my cheap landlady just doesn't care to get them restocked. I closed my door softly and walked to the other direction, taking care not to make a sound. I have no idea why I chose to do that, but it was fun giving in to the strange impulse not to break the droning hum of the soda machines, at least for a moment. I got to the stairwell and took the stairs up to the building's front door. I looked through the heavy door's small square window and received quite the shock. It was definitely not lunchtime. City gloom hung over the dark street outside, and the traffic lights at the intersection in the distance blinked yellow. Dim clouds, purple and black from the glow of the city, hung overhead. Nothing moved, save from a few walk trees that shifted in the wind. I remember shivering, though I wasn't cold. Maybe it was the wind outside. I could vaguely hear it through the heavy metal door, and I knew that it was a unique kind of late-night wind, the kind that was a constant cold and quiet, save for the rhythmic music that made it pass through the trees' countless unseen tree leaves. I decided not to go outside. Good choice, we don't want to touch grass today. Instead, I lifted my cell phones to the door's little window and checked the signal meter. The bars filled up the meter, and I smiled. Time to hear someone else's voice, I remember thinking, relieved. It was such a strange thing to be afraid of nothing. I shook my head, laughing at myself silently. I hit the speed dial for my friend Amy's number and held the phone up to my ear. It rang once, but then it stopped. Nothing happened. I listened to the silence for a good 20 seconds, then hung up. I frowned and looked at the signal number meter again. Still full. I went to dial her number again, but then my phone rang in my hand, startling me. I put it up to my ear. "Hello?" I asked immediately, fighting down a small shock at hearing a first spoken voice in days, even if it was my own. I had gotten used to the drowning hum of the building's inner workings, my computer, and the soda machines in the hallway. There was no response to my greeting at first, but then finally a voice came. Hold on. Too many things. Where is the thing? Hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right. Let's try this again. Sorry. Okay. There was no response to my greeting at first, but then, finally, a voice came.
"Hey."
Said a clear male voice, obviously of college age like me.
"Who's this?"
"John," I replied, confused.
"Oh, sorry. Wrong number."
He replied, then hung up. I lowered the phone slowly and leaned against the thick brick wall of the stairwell. That was strange. I looked at my received calls list, but the number was unfamiliar. Before I could think on it further, the phone rang loudly, shocking me yet again. This time, I looked at the caller before I answered. It was another unfamiliar number. This time, I held the phone up to my ear, but said nothing. I heard nothing but the general background of a noise phone. Then, a familiar voice broke my tension. "John?" was a single word in Amy's voice. I breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, it's you," I replied. "Who else would it be?" she responded. "Oh, the number. I'm at a party on 7th Street, and my phone died just as you called me. This is someone else's phone, obviously." "Oh, okay," I said. "Where are you?" she asked. My eyes glanced over the drab white washed cylinder block walls and the heavy metal door with its small window. "At my building," I sighed. "Just feeling cooped up. I didn't realize it was so late." "You should come here," she said, laughing. "Nah, I don't feel like looking at some strange place by myself in the middle of the night," I said, looking out at the window in the silent, windy street that secretly scared me just a tiny bit. "I think I'm gonna keep working or go to bed." "Nonsense," she replied. I can come get you. Your building is so close to 7th Street, right? How drunk are you? I asked lightheartedly. You know where I live. Oh, of course, she said abruptly. I guess I can't get there by walking, huh? You could if you wanted to waste an hour, I told her. Right, she said. Okay, have to go. Good luck with your work. I lowered the phone once more, looking at the numbers flash as the call ended. Then, the droning silence suddenly reasserted itself in my ears. The two strange calls had the eerie street just outside. Just drove home my aloneness in this empty stairwell. Perhaps from having seen too many scary movies, I had the sudden inexplicable idea that something could look in the door's window and see me. Some sort of horrible entity that hovered at the edge of aloneness, just waiting to creep up on unsuspecting people that strayed too far from other human beings. I knew the fear was irrational, but no one else was around, so I jumped down the stairs, ran down the hallway into my room, and closed the door as swiftly as I could while laying in the silence. Like I said, I feel a little ridiculous for being scared of nothing, and the fear had already faded. Writing this down helps a lot. It makes me realize that nothing is wrong. It filters out a half-formed thought and it filters out half-formed thoughts and fears and leaves only cold, hard facts. It's late. I got a call from the wrong number, and Amy's phone died, so she called me back from another number. Nothing strange is happening. Still, there was something a little off about the conversation. I know it could have just been the alcohol she'd had, or was it even her that seemed off to me? Or was it... Yes, that was it. I didn't realize it until this moment writing these things down. I knew writing things down would help. She said she was at a party, but I only heard silence in the background. Of course that doesn't mean anything in particular, as she could have just gone outside to make the call. No, that couldn't be it either. I didn't hear the wind. I need to see if the wind is still blowing. Monday. I forgot to finish writing last night. I'm not sure what I expected to see when I ran up the stairwell and looked out the heavy metal door's window. I'm feeling ridiculous. Last night's fear seems hazy and unreasonable to me now. I can't wait to go out into the sunlight. I'm going to check my email, shave, shower, and finally get out of here. Wait. I think I heard something. It was thunder. That whole sunlight and fresh air thing didn't happen. I went out into the stairwell and up the stairs, only to find disappointment. The heavy metal door's little window showed only flowing water, as the torrential rain slammed against it. Only a very dim, gloomy light flickered through the rain, but at least I knew it was a daytime, even if it was a gray, slickly wet day. I tried looking out the window and waiting for lightning to illuminate the gloom, but the rain was too heavy and I couldn't make it out anything more than a vague, weird shape moving around at odd angles in the waves washing down the window. God, I can't read. Okay. Disappointed, I turned around, but I didn't want to go back into my room. Instead, I wandered further up the floor, in the highest floor in the building. I looked through the glass that ran up the outer wall of the stairwell, but it was that warped, thick kind that scatters the light. Not that there was much to see through the rain to begin with. I opened the stairwell door and wandered down the hallway. The 10 or so thick wooden doors, painted blue a long time ago, were all closed. I listened as I walked, but it was the middle of the day, so I wasn't surprised that I heard nothing but the rain outside. As I stood there in the middle of the dim hallway, listening to the rain, I had the strange fleeting impression that the doors were standing like silent granite monoliths erected by some ancient forgotten civilization for some unfathomable guardian purpose. Lightning flashed, and I could have sworn for just a moment, the old grainy blue wood looked like rough stone. I laughed at myself for letting my imagination get the best of me, but then it occurred to me that the dim gloom and lightning must mean that there's a window somewhere in the hallway. A vague memory resurfaced, and I suddenly recalled that the 3rd floor had an alcove and an inset window halfway down the floor's hallway. Excited to look out into the rain and possibly see another human being, I quickly walked over the alcove to the alcove, finding a large, thin glass window. Rain washed down it as with the front door's window, but I could open this one. I reached the hand out to slide it open, but hesitated. I had the strangest feeling that if I opened up that window, I would see something absolutely horrifying on the other side. Everything's been so odd lately. So I came up with the plan, and I came back here to get what I needed. I don't seriously think anything will come with it, but I'm bored, it's raining, and I'm going stir crazy. I came back to get my webcam. The cord isn't long enough to reach the 3rd floor by any means, so instead I'm going to hide it in between the 2 soda machines in the dark end of my basement hallway, run the wire along the wall under my door, and put the black duct tape over the wire and blend it in with the black plastic strip that runs along the basement of the hallway walls. I know this is silly, but I don't have anything better to do. Well, nothing happened. I propped open the hallway to stairwell door, steeled myself, then flung the heavy front door wide open and ran all the way down the stairs to my room and slammed the door. I watched the webcam on my computer intently, seeing the hallway outside my door and most of the stairwell. I'm watching it right now, but I don't see anything interesting. I just wish the camera position was different so that I could see outside the door. Hey! Somebody's online! I got out an older, less functional webcam that I had in my closet to video chat with a friend online. I couldn't really explain to him why I wanted to video chat, but it felt good to see another person's face. He couldn't talk very long, but we didn't talk about anything meaningful, but I feel much better. My strange fears almost passed, but I would have felt completely better, but there was something odd about our conversation. I know that I said that everything seemed odd, but still, he seemed very vague in his responses. I can't recall one specific thing that he said. No particular name or place or event. But he did ask for my email address and to keep in touch. Wait, I got an email. Email? I'm about to go out. I just got an email from Amy that asked to meet me I just got an email from Amy that asked me to meet her for dinner at the place we usually go to. I do love pizza, and I've just been eating random food from my poorly stocked fridge for days. So I can't wait. Again, I feel ridiculous about the odd couple of days that I've been having. I should destroy this journal when I get back. Oh, another email. Email, cute skittle. I knew you would get that. You're probably the only one in this entire chat that gets that because that's a kind of a inside thing. It's a family thing that happened before. It's fine. Just need the periscope, I know. Okay. Go continuing on. Your ghost eyes move. Yes, they do. Thank you to whoever made this. I forget your name, but it's on Etsy. I love it. It's very cute. Okay. Continuing on with the... Sorry. I didn't mean to stop mid-sentence. Okay. Here we go. Continuing on. Oh my god. I almost left the email and opened the door. I almost opened the door, but I need to read the email first. It was from a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time. And it was sent to a huge number of emails that have just been every person he had saved in his address list. It had no subject, and it said, simply, seen with your own eyes, don't trust them, they. What is that supposed to mean? The words shock me, and I keep coming over to them. Is it a desperate email just sent as something happened? The words are obviously cut off without finishing. On any other day, I would have dismissed this as spam from a computer virus or something, but the words seem with your own eyes. I can't help but read over this journal and think back on the last few days and realize that I have not seen another person with my own eyes or talked to another person face to face. The webcam conversation with my friend was so strange, so vague, so eerie now that I think about it. Was it eerie? Or was it the fear clouding my memory? My mind toys with the progression of events I've written here, pointing out that I have not been presented with one single fact that I did not specifically give out unsuspectingly. The random wrong number that got my name and the subsequent strange return call from Amy, the friend that asked me for my email address. I messaged him first when I saw him online, and then I got my first email a few minutes after that conversation. Oh my god! That phone call with Amy. I said over the phone. I said that I was within a half an hour's walk of 7th Street. They know I'm near there. What if they're trying to find me? Where is everyone else? Why haven't I seen or heard anybody else in days? No. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I need to calm down. This madness needs to end. I don't know what to think. I ran out of my apartment furiously, holding my cell phone up to every corner to see if I got a signal through heavy walls. Finally, in the tiny bathroom, near one ceiling corner, I got a single bar. Holding my phone there, I sent a text message to every number in my list. Not wanting to betray anything about my unfound fears, I simply sent, "You seen anyone face to face lately?" At that point, I wanted any reply back. I didn't care what the reply was or if I embarrassed myself. I just tried to call someone a few times, but I couldn't get my head up high enough. And if I brought my cell phone down to even an inch, it lost signal. Then I remembered the computer and rushed over to it, instant messaging everyone online. Most were idle or away from their computer. Nobody responded. My messages grew more frantic, and I started telling people where I was and to stop by in person for a host of barely passable reasons. I didn't care about anything at that point. I needed to see another person. I also tore apart my apartment looking for something that I might have missed. Some way to contact another human being without opening the door. I know it's crazy. I know it's unfounded. But what if? What if? I needed to be sure. I taped the phone to the ceiling in case. Bruh. The phone rang! The phone rang! Exhausted from last night's rampage, I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to the phone ringing and ran to the bathroom, stood on the toilet, flipped open the phone taped to the ceiling. It was Amy. Oh, God, I feel so much better. She was really worried about me and apparently had been trying to contact me since the last time I talked to her. She's coming over now, and yes, she knows where I am without me telling her. Oh, I feel so embarrassed. I am definitely throwing this journal away before anyone sees it. I don't even know why I'm writing in it now. Maybe just because it's the only communication I've had at all since God knows when. Ugh, I look like crap too. I looked in the mirror before I came back in here. My eyes are sunken, my stubble is thicker, and I just look generally unhealthy. My apartment is trashed, but I'm not going to clean it up. I think I need someone else to see what I've been through. These past few days have not been normal. I am not one to imagine things. I know I've been a victim of extreme probability, and I probably miss seeing another person like a dozen times. I just happened to go out when it was late at night or the middle of the day when everyone was gone. Everything's perfectly fine. I know this now. Plus, I found something in the closet last night that helped me tremendously. A television! I set it up just before I wrote this, and it's on in the background. Television has always been an escape for me, and it reminds me that there's a world beyond these dingy brick walls. I'm glad Amy's the only one that responded to me after last night's frantic pestering of anyone I could contact. She's been my best friend for years. She doesn't know it, but I count the day that I met her among the other few moments of true happiness in my life. I remember that warm summer day fondly. It seems a different reality from this dark, rainy, lonely place. I feel like I've spent days sitting in that playground, much too old to play, just talking with her and hanging around doing nothing at all. I still feel like I can go back to that moment sometimes, and it reminds me that this god-awful place is not all that there is. Finally! A knock on the door! I thought it was odd that I couldn't see her through the camera I hid between the two soda machines. I figured that it was bad positioning, like when I couldn't see out the front door. I should have known. I should have known! After the knock, I yelled through the door jokingly that I had a camera between the soda machines because I was embarrassed myself that I had taken the paranoia so far. After I did that, I saw her image walk over to the camera and look down at it. She smiled and waved. "Hey," she said to the camera brightly, giving it a weary look. It's weird, I know. I said into the mic attached to my computer. I've had a weird few days. "Must have," she replied. "Open the door, John." I hesitated. How could I be sure? "Hey, humor me a second here," I told her through the mic. "Tell me one thing about us, just to prove you're you." She gave the camera a weird look. Alright, she said, slowly thinking. "We met randomly at a playground where we were both way too old to be there?" I sighed deeply as reality returned and fear faded. God, I'd been so ridiculous. Of course it was Amy. The day that wasn't anywhere in the world except in my memory. I never even mentioned it to anyone, not out of embarrassment, but out of a strange secret nostalgia, and had longing for those days to return. If there was some unknown force at work trying to trick me, as I had feared, there's no way that they could have known about that day. "Alright, I'll explain everything," I told her. "Be right there." I ran to my bathroom and fixed my hair as best as I could. I looked like crap, but she would understand. Snickering at my own unbelievable behavior and the mess I've made of the place, I walked into the door. Boom. I walked to the door. I put my hand on the doorknob and gave the mess one last look. So ridiculous, I thought. My eyes traced over the half-eaten food lying on the ground, the overflowing trash bin, and the bed I'd tripped to the side looking for God knows what. I almost turned to the door and opened it, but my eyes fell on one last thing. The old webcam, the one that I had used for eerily vacant chat with my friend. Its silent black sphere laid hazardly tossed to the side, its lens pointed at the table where this journal lay. An overwhelming terror took me as I realized that if something could see through that camera, it would have seen just what I wrote about that day. I asked her for any one thing about us, and she chose the only thing in the world that I thought they or it did not know. But it did! It did know! It could have been watching me this whole time! I didn't open the door. I screamed. I screamed in uncontrollable horror. Hold on. I screamed in uncontrollable horror. I stomped on the old webcam on the floor. The door shook, and the doorknob tried to turn, but I didn't hear Amy's voice through the door. Was the basement door made out of drafts too thick? Or was Amy not outside? Who could be the one trying to get in, if not her? What is going on out there? I saw her on my computer through the camera outside. I heard her on the speakers through the camera outside. But was it real? How could I know? She's gone now. I screamed and shouted for help. I piled up everything in my apartment against the front door. Friday. At least, I think it's Friday. I broke everything electronic. I smashed my computer to pieces. Every single thing on there that had been accessed by my network access or worse, altered. I'm a programmer, I know. Every little piece of information I gave out since this started, my name, email, my location, none of it came back from the outside until I gave it out. I've been going over and over what I wrote. I've been pacing back and forth, alternating between stark terror and overpowering disbelief. Sometimes I'm absolutely certain that the Phantom's entity is dead set on the simple goal of getting me to go outside. Back to the beginning, with the phone call from Amy. She was effectively asking me to open the door and go outside. I keep running through it in my head. One point of view says I've acted like a madman, and all of this is extreme conjurance of probability. Never going outside at the right times by pure luck. Never seeing another human person by pure chance. Getting a random nonsense email from some computer virus at just the right time. The other point of view says that the extreme convergence of probability is the reason that whatever's out there hasn't gotten me already. I keep thinking. I never opened the window on the 3rd floor. I never opened the front door. until that incredibly stupid stunt with the hidden camera, after which I ran straight into my room and slammed the door. I haven't even opened my own solid door since I flung open the front door of the building. Whatever's out there, if anything's out there, never made an appearance in the building before I opened the front door. Maybe the reason it wasn't in the building already was that it was elsewhere getting everyone else. Then it walked, and then it waited until I betrayed my existence trying to call Amy. A call which didn't work until it called me and asked me for my name. Terror literally overwhelms me every time I try to fit the pieces of this nightmare together. That email, short, cut off. Was it from someone trying to get the word out? Some friendly voice desperately trying to warn me before it came? Seen with my own eyes. Don't trust them. Exactly what I've been so suspicious of. It could have been the masterful control of all things electronic, practicing its insidious deception to trick me into coming outside. Why can't it get in? It knocked on the door. It must have some solid presence. The door, the image of those doors in the upper hallway as guardian monoliths flash back in my mind every time I trace this path of thoughts. If there is some fathom entity trying to get me to go into the outside, hello? If there is some phantom entity trying to get me to go outside, maybe it can't get through the doors. I keep thinking back over all the books I've read or the movies I've seen, trying to generate some explanation for this. Doors have always been such an intense foci of human imagination, always seen as wards or potential portals of special importance. God, I can't read. Or perhaps the door is just too thick? I know that I couldn't bash through any doors. I couldn't bash through any of the doors in this building, let alone the heavy basement ones. Aside from that, the real question is, why does it even want me? If it just wanted to kill me, it could do it any number of ways, including just waiting until I starve to death. What if it doesn't want to kill me? What if it has some far more horrific fate in store for me? God, what can I do to escape this nightmare? A knock on the door. I told the people on the other side of the door I need to think of... Blah, blah. I told the people on the other side of the door I need a minute to think and I'll come out. I'm really just writing this down so I can figure out what to do. At this time, I just hear their voices. My paranoia, and yes, I recognize I'm being paranoid, has me thinking all sorts of ways that their voices could be faked electronically. There could be nothing but speakers outside, simulating human voices. Did it really take them 3 days to come talk to me? Amy is supposedly out there along with 2 policemen and a psychiatrist. Maybe it took them 3 days to think of what to say to me. The psychiatrist's claim could be pretty convincing if I decided to think that this is all some crazy misunderstanding and not to some entity trying to trick me into opening the door. The psychiatrist had an older voice. Authoritarian but still caring. I liked it. I'm desperate just to see someone with my own eyes. He said I have something called cyberpsychosis, and I'm just one of a nationwide epidemic of thousands of people having breakdowns triggered by a suggestive email that got through somehow. I swear he said got through somehow. I think he means spread throughout the country unexplicably, but I'm incredibly suspicious that the entity slipped up and revealed something. He said I am part of a wave of emergent behavior, that a lot of other people are having the same problem with the same fears, even though we've never communicated. It neatly explains a strange email about the eyes that I got. I didn't get the original triggering email. I got a dissent of it. My friend could have broken down too, and tried to warn everyone he knew against his paranoid fears. That's how the problem spreads, the psychiatrist claims. I could have spread it too, with my text and instant messages online to everybody I know. One of those people might have been melting down right now. After being triggered by something I sent them. Something they might interpret in any way that they want. Something like a text saying, "Seen anyone face to face lately?" The psychiatrist told me that he didn't want to lose another one, that people like me are intelligent, And that's our downfall. We draw connections so well that when we draw them, even when they shouldn't be there. Oh, that we draw them, even though they shouldn't be there. He said that it's easy to get caught up in paranoia in our fast-paced world, a constantly changing place where more and more of our interaction is stimulated. Simulated, not stimulated. Oh my god. Hold on, I need a drink. Okay. I have to give him one thing. It's a great explanation. It neatly explains everything. It perfectly explains everything. In fact, I have every reason to shake off this nightmarish fear that something or consciousness or being out there wants me to open the door so that it can capture me for some horrible fate worse than death. It would be foolish, after hearing that explanation, to stay in here after I starve to death just to spite the entity that might have gotten everyone else. I would be foolish to think that. After hearing that explanation, I may be one of the last people left alive in an empty world, hiding in my secure basement room, spiting some unthinkable deceptive entity just by refusing to be captured. It's perfect explanation for every single strange thing I've seen or heard, and that I have every reason in this world to let all my fears go and to open the door. And that's exactly what I am not going to do. How can I be sure? How can I know what's real and what's deception? All of these things with their wires and their signals that originate from some unseen origin. They're not real. I can't be sure. Signals through a camera, faked video, deceptive phone calls, emails, even the television lying broken on the floor. How can I possibly know it's real? It's just signals, waves, lights. The door. The bashing on the door. It's trying to get in. What insane mechanical contrivance could it be using to simulate the sound of men attacking the heavy wood so well? At least I finally see it with my own eyes. There's nothing left in here for it to deceive me with. I've ripped apart everything else. It can't deceive my eyes, can it? Seen with your own eyes don't trust them, they say. Wait. Was that desperate message telling me to trust my eyes? Or warning me about my eyes too? Oh my god, what's the difference between a camera and my eyes? They both turn light into electrical signals. They're the same. I can't be deceived. I have to be sure. I have to be sure. Date unknown. Hold on, let me... Halloween lo-fi keeps disappearing. What is happening with my... What's happening with my music? Hold on. It gave out. There we go. Okay, cool. We're still good for a while. I calmly asked for a paper and pen, day in and day out, until it finally gave them to me. Not that it matters. What am I going to do? Poke my eyes out? The bandages feel like part of me now. The pain is gone. I figure this will be one of my last chances to write legibly, as, without my sight to correct the mistakes, my hands will slowly forget the motions involved. This is a sort of self-indulgence, this writing. It's a relic of another time, because I'm certain everyone left in this world is dead. Or something far worse. I sit against the padded wall day in and day out. The entity brings me food and water. It masks itself as a kind nurse with an unsympathetic doctor. I think it knows that my hearing has sharpened considerably now that I live in darkness. It fakes conversations in the hallways, on an off chance that I might overhear. One of the nurses talks about having a baby soon. One of the doctors lost his wife in a car accident. None of it matters. None of it is real. None of it gets to me. Not like she does. That's the worst part. The part I almost can't handle. The things that come to me, masquerading as Amy. Its recreation is perfect. It sounds exactly like Amy. It feels exactly like her. It even produces a reasonable facsimile of tears that makes me feel on its lifelike cheeks. When it first dragged me here, it told me all the things I wanted to hear. It told me that she loved me, that she'd always loved me, that it didn't understand why I did this. What we could still have That we could still have a life together. If only I would stop insisting that I was being deceived. It wanted me to believe. No. It wanted me to believe that she was real. I almost fell for it. I really did. I doubted myself for the longest time. In the end, though, it was all too perfect, too flawless, and too real. The false Amy used to come every day, and then every week, and then finally stopped coming altogether. But I don't think the entity will give up. I think the waiting game is just another one of its gambits. I will resist it for the rest of my life, if I have to. I don't know what happened to the rest of the world, but I do know that this thing needs me to fall for its deception. If it needs that, then maybe, just maybe, I am a thorn in its agenda. Maybe Amy is still alive out there somewhere, kept alive by only my will to resist the deceiver. I hold on to that hope, rocking back and forth in my cell to pass the time. I will never give in. I will never break. I am a hero. The doctor read the paper the patient had scribbled on. It was barely readable, written in a shaky script of one who could not see. He wanted to smile at the man's steadfast resolve, a reminder of the human will to survive, but he knew that the patient was completely delusional. After all, a sane man would have fallen for deception long ago. The doctor wanted to smile. He wanted to whisper words of encouragement to the delusional man. He wanted to scream, but the nerve filaments wrapped around his head and into the eyes made him do otherwise. His body walked into the cell like a puppet and told the patient once more, that he was wrong, and that there was nobody trying to deceive him. And that, my friends, was Psychosis. What a story! Did I spell that right? Spycosis? Yeah, it's S-P-S-Y. Psychosis. Wow. What a story, man. What a story! That was wild. A few elements of this story hit home a lot closer than I expected. I agree. The fact that he went crazy from being alone, oh my god, that's wild. That was insane. The man went full psycho. Hold on, I gotta get my other water bottle. The man went full psycho from just being alone. Like, that's insane. That's actually crazy. I can't even believe that. I mean, I can believe it, but it's just like, he like dug out his own eyeballs. What the heck? I can't believe he dug out his own eyeballs. Literally scraped his eyeballs out. I need to do something with my fingers while I'm reading, because otherwise I keep stuttering. That was insane. I can't even believe that. I mean, I can, but it's just like, it's crazy. Alexa, play Psycho by Bale Seikos. Psycho, Psycho! Yes. Oh my gosh. That was crazy, though. That was pretty intense. But it was a really good story. I hope I did go with reading it. I feel like sometimes... I was trying to be a little bit, like, dramatic with reading it. But... IDK if she's ready. Russian sleep experiment. Hold on. I'll read that one next. Hold on, I'm trying to get this out. I'm gonna make a mess on my desk, but it's fine. I need something to keep my fingers busy. Okay. You did really good. Oh, thank you. I have, what is it? Kinetic sand or something on my desk currently. To play with while I read. So that I'm not, like, stuttering too much. Okay, here we go. You did well. Thank you. Wait, are you eating sand? I'm not eating it! No, I'm not eating it. I'm molding it or something. I don't know. Okay. So that was Psychosis. That was actually a really good one. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that one. Gura fan spotted. Hey! Hey, don't call me out like that, man. Not cool. I need a bag. Not cool, man. I don't like being called out. Although, speaking of Hololive, my Calliope Mori Nenadroid came today. Pretty exciting. I don't have a bag I can put this on. That's quite unfortunate. I'll just put it on this one, I guess. Okay. So, my Calliope Mori Nendo came today in the mail, which is pretty exciting. I haven't taken out of the... I have not taken it out of the box yet, but I will at some point. I'm rather excited for it. I think it's going to be great. Okay, I got my sand. We're ready to go. Alright, so we're doing Russian Experiment next, right? Is that the one you wanted? Okay. Let me just put this in my water bottle real quick. Ding! Ah, yes. The sound of tinkles. Okay. Ah! The sound of tinkles. It might creep you out. I mean, that's what this stream is for, is it not? This stream is meant to be scary. Okay. Let me grab it. Russian sleep experiment. It's in here, right? Oh, here it is. I found it. The Russian sleep experiment. Here we go. Nendoroids is so cute. Yes, they are. They are. Yes, I have. I'm like, hold on. I have Aqua, Corone, Gura, and Marine. I ordered a Kanata, and I have Callie now, which is pretty exciting. So I'm really happy about that. I want a Bay Nendoroid. I know. Hopefully they come out with Promise. That would be great. I want a Mume and an Iris and a Bay. I want a Moomers. Same! I also want a Moomers. IDK what those are. They're figures! They're posable figures. They're like cheapy versions of like Figmas. Then they're made by a Good Smile company. They are really, really cute. And I really like them. Okay, bringing out the sand was not a good idea because now I'm distracted. Okay. Let's continue on. The Russian sleep experiment. That is the next one. I need a Muma's Nenda for real. I agree! Alright, so... Alright, here we go. I'm not gonna read the overview. I'm just gonna go right into it. Let me just flatten this a little bit. Whoa! What just happened? Why did it turn white? Okay, there we go. Where's my soundboard? Alright. In case I need my soundboard. Alright, here we go, guys. Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before the closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to keep them to sleep on, but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they had submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and general tone of their conversations took a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think that they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity, with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. The first of them. Oh, okay, I see. The first of them started screaming. I lost my scream again. Hold on. I thought I added this to my soundboard. Oh, there it is. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but he was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about his behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering into the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. Amazing. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming within the 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid they were either dead or vegetables. They announced... Oh, wait. I have an announcement. Hold on. Where's this? Okay. You think I would know how to use my voice thing by now. Okay. They announced...
We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn you one of your intimate freedom. Immediate freedom.
Not intimate. They announced. Oh. To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in the calm voice of response. We no longer want to be freed. Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphone began to object. I think that's object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of their loved ones to return the gas back on. The chamber was opened and the soldiers sent in to retrieve the tests, and soldiers were sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state of any of them in life. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chests stuffed into the drain at the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had a large portion of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone of their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with the teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and the angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. Yikes. The abdominal organs below the rib cage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. Ew! While the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place, the skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage. Ew! All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out the ever-skinny but living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working digesting food. What? The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. Do you blame them? I don't. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured and having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count one that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. I don't blame him. In the struggle of one of the 4 one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine, derivative, and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of one doctor. When the heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the words, "More!" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. Gotta go set up for a party. Thanks for the stream. Have fun at your party. Spooky, scary party. Be crazy. Ugh, man. This is wild. Hold on, I'm trying to get the sand off my fingers. Okay. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within the body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative that they had given him to prepare for the surgery. He fought furiously against the restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier was holding that wrist as well. It only took a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in the struggle not to be subdued. Most of them were from the force of his own muscles had exerted on them. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he had only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly that they try the surgery without anesthetic, and he did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abnormal organs and attempting to cover him with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject took the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be some sort of drastic importance to the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so that the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other two test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeons found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given. I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered... I can't read. Killing the surviving subjects, basically. The commanding officer, a former KGB agent, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. Why does it keep stopping? YouTube being dumb. Okay, continue on. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor. I think that's supposed to be EKG monitor. An EEG monitor, and had their restraints padded for a long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious at this point all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. First left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brain waves in surprise. Oh, it's EEG. Never mind. It is EEG. I think EEG is like brain, and then EKG is like heart. Never mind. Yeah, I figured that out. I was being dumb. Per usual. What else is new, right? They were normal in most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as though they were repeating suffering from brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on the paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut, and the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of a deep sleep, then flatlined for the first time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject... I don't know where I am in this. I'm like halfway through. Okay. I'm having too much fun playing with this. Okay. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed that the same flat lines as the one who just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as the 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot at the commander point blank between the eyes, turned the gun on the mute subject, and blew his brains out as well. He pointed the gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to the bed, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things. Not with you! He screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you? He demanded. I must know! The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily? The subject said. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment of your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into the nocturnal haven where we cannot thread. The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free. I think that was it. I think that was it for that movie. For that creepypasta. Wowzers. Pretty wild. I mean, that wasn't that scary. It was more like, whoa. I have sand stuck to my fingers. Hold on. I'm gonna go change my pants for entirely unrelated reasons. Stop eating sand. No! You can't make me. Definitely one you gotta think about. Uh-huh. Agreed. Alright, so that was the Russian sleep experiment. There we go. The reveal of the gore in the room was the most impactful part, in my opinion. I agree. I agree. It's the same way. Same way for me. I think as all the gore and talking about like all of the guts in the room and everything, like just too much. That's a lot. All right. So I am going to do a different one now. Hold on. I'm gonna do this one. This one is called Pokemon Lost Silver. So this is a Pokemon themed one. The fact that you've kept the fart cloud going this long is impressive. Thanks. I'm glad you like the fart cloud. Alright, I got my pocket sand. So we're good to go. Pocket sand! I enjoy moving this around and playing with it and squishing it. It's like moon sand. So squishy. Okay. I'm enjoying this too much. Okay. I'm gonna... Alright, so this one is Pokemon themed. I forget who submitted this, but thank you for your submission. It was in Skidocord. So I'm going to read this one. Victoria, did you submit this one? I feel like it might have been you. The internet is wacky. It is indeed wacky. I agree. Alright, so let's read this one now. I don't remember who did it. Yeah, it's got a game too, which is neat. It's got a game? Oh, it does. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to play it just because of time's sake. There is a bunch of creepypastas still, but this is a rather long story, so we'll see what happens. Okay. We'll see. Maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. Alright. You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver here in the States. I have purposely locked myself out of all media on the internet aside for school purposes. That means no 4chan, no I'm guessing Reddit, no Bulbapedia, etc. As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. I decided that during that time, I would replay my crystal version of my Game Boy Color. However, I realized long ago, my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and I was very upset about it then. She drew away my silver version, so all I have is my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used silver version, as it's the only Pokemon game left that they have for the Game Boy Color. $10. Fairly cheap. I went home and started it up for the nostalgia trip. However, that's when things started to get bizarre, and most likely the reason why you read this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but it just froze there. I thought the cartridge was just errored or something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A and start over and over, and all of the buttons. Eventually the logo vanished and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game in a previous save file, which was odd as I was expecting all of the cards to have been wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining, as I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. First off, I checked his trainer information. His name was just ... He didn't have much originality. I checked his profile and apparently had 999 hours and 99 minutes put into the game, with all 16 badges, 999999.9 Pokédollars, and all 251 Pokemon on the Pokédex. Seeing as he apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also, I am guessing he either used a Game Genie or was a really hardcore Pokemon player back then. I checked his Pokemon to see what a crazy team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon said, "Hurry!" I'm thinking that this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played the game, but I decided to check the profiles of these Pokemon anyways. As for the 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this was before there were individualized Pokemon icons. The Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was a level 5 with only 1 HP left and only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at the time I just disregarded it. The most eerie thing was just that, despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon he had said their usual cries. Just pure silence. Having enough of the team, I closed it. I was parked at what it appears to be a room inside a Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason, there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all, just as if it was leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and there was no exit or ladder, at least I thought there wasn't. I walked around for a few minutes, but can't seem to find a way out. This was certainly not a room I had seen the Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder, which turned out to be behind a pillar. The screen turned black and the music finally started playing. I had a sudden chill as I recognized that melody I heard to be the theme you hear when you listen to the radio at the Alp ruins where the unknown are at. I immediately realized that it wasn't a loading transition, but rather I was in a dark room and would need flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokegear to change the radio to something more pleasant, but it turns out there was no radio card, or even a phone, nor time cards. There was only a map card, in which Gold, from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on, was just walking in the midst of black. I recall that Cyndaquil has Flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Cyndaquil use Flash. I didn't see any message saying, "Hurry has used Flash," or anything like that. The room just became lit like that, and I soon regretted it. The room was a chilling blood red with a linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up-down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south. The screen got darker every 20 steps I made, until I finally made it to the end, which appears to be a sign. I read the sign, which said, "Turn back now." Suddenly, I was asked to answer yes, no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes as I do not know what it was asking, and the screen went black again, making a ladder climbed sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was replaced with the not as creepy Pokey Flute radio music. I was in another room, but I held my breath and used Flash again. Suddenly, it said that Hurry has fainted, which was odd since I recall that there was no status conditions like poison on him, and I clearly wasn't in a battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he's no longer in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokemon are there, but instead are all replaced with level 10 Unknown. He did the same thing as before and spelled out the Unknown. Then my team of Unknown spelled he died. All, like no space. He died. So H-E-D-I-D. D-I-E-D. Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room that appears to only be 4 squares big. The walls of that room were gray bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Outside the room appears to be a bunch of graves similar to the ones in the Pokemon Red and Blue. I've walked around that small room and pressed A, but nothing happens. I've already concluded that this clearly was a hacked game and some sadistic butthole sold it to GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of ... again, only to find out that the sprite of Gold was missing his arms. He also seems to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty in a way that I do not know how to describe. For some reason, it also now said that he has 24 badges, which is clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying up high, though, my character spun downwards slowly, as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing, the overworld sprite of Gold is colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. It's as if he came straight from a colorless Game Boy game placed into a colored background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile, and now, while now is as white as his overworld sprite, he lost his legs and has what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says now he has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me as this change of number seems to represent something important. Good lord. I also checked my Pokemon, which this time contains 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebi without a name. The unknown at this time are level 15 and spell out dying. I checked the Celebi's profile. It was a shiny Celebi, except there was only half of the sprite. 1 leg, 1 arm, 1 eye. It only has 1 attack. Perish Song. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower with the immobile pillar as before, except everything was apparently red now. I walked north of what it felt like forever. Eventually, I finally encountered some generic man and woman NPC. They were all lined up to the side, just facing along the slantish pillar in the middle. They were also white, and nothing happens when I try to speak to them. I kept on going north until eventually the pillar appeared to be chopped off, with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red without even pressing A, and was suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Gold's battle back sprite matches his front one with the bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms, while Red's sprite was the same as before in GSC, except transparent. The text simply said, "Wants to battle," as if he has no name, and both of us only have one Pokemon each, which is weird because I swore I had 6 unknowns. My shiny Celebi came out, conveniently in a half a sprite for the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, as the sounds it made sound like multiple screech attacks used consecutively. Red sounded a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he is level 255 and his sprite seems sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight item Pokemon run menu, I was only given the option to use the attacks. Since Celebi only has one, I chose it. Naturally, since Pikachu was level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. Celebi used Perish Song. In three turns, both Pokemon get KO'd. Not like I have a choice. At this point, it didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. Also note that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which didn't do much damage despite his level as boost as his health was maxed. Celebi used Perish Song. Nothing happens as it was already used. Pikachu uses Frustration, which did a ton of damage, knocking Celebi down to less than 10 HP. Celebi used Pain Split, which surprised me as Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. Now Celebi and Pikachu have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Look. Not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of the Perish Song, my Celebi fainted. Except in this text it said, "Celebi has died." Instead of the ordinary drop-down screen information, the Celebi back sprite just vanished. For some reason, the Pikachu was still up, and even with Perish Song, it didn't count. What? It didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used one more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards, it said, "Pikachu has died," with a slow fade-out animation. Apparently, I was the winner, as the transparent red sprite showed up and said, ... At that point, I just freaked out, as that transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then ended at that point and faded out along with the music. I'm back in the overworld, with another change to the gold sprite. He is now as transparent as the red overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, where this time the only thing that remains of him is his head, with a transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing a black void in his eyes. It is now stated that he has 40 badges. Then I backed out and checked my Pokemon. They were all level 20 shiny unknown, which spelled out read no more. I was at what I now know is to the next to the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like something there could be heard. Hold on. I was back in my room in the new Bark town. Maybe finally I get to play this game properly, but who am I kidding? I knew that sadistic jerk must have done something. I walked around my room to interact with things, but I'm afraid to go back down the stairs to see what's awaiting down there. Note I said walked while the background was moving. Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating like ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears normal, except Mom isn't home. After failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, the door leading outside at the south didn't work, and instead I just walked straight through it to a void. I continued moving south to see what was going on. My house vanishes as I head south towards the void. It was as creepy as when I entered the void. The outside on Gold's transparent sprite turned white to contrast with the pitch black. Eventually, I reached the white area and Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it. He said, "Goodbye, forever." Notably with a space in between the forever and ... and vanished. As it happened, it said, blink, 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 use nightmare. Which at that point, I could not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I am now back into that small hollowed-out room surrounded by the graves earlier. Or at least, I say I was back there, but there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved. Not even wall bumping noise. I checked my trainer profile with absolutely no gold sprite left. And it said I had 0 badges and all the pictures of the Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked my Pokemon, which were all level 25 unknown. As expected, it spelled out a phrase that I dread to read. I'm dead. As soon as I went back into the overworld, the room I supposedly was in was then covered with the same blocks as the walls. I figured out what exactly that room was when the final text was said. R.I.P. That room was a big grave surrounded by other graves. Gold had already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokemon master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which I finally then decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the gimmick unknown the same way again. They say that only the first generation have folktales and legends, but the second generation have shown me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed Soul Silver immensely, but I can't unthink what that rigged game has told me. That's wild. What lore? That was crazy, guys. What'd you think? I realized I was saying that Pokemon's name wrong. I apologize. I've never heard that Pokemon before. So I was just going based off of what I thought it was. Surely someone made a ROM hack of that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this exists. Good memories from back playing Gold on the GBC. Yep. I don't think I ever played it on the Game Boy, but they did. It's linked on the page I posted in Skittle chat. Yes, there's a game in the actual Creepypasta lore if you want to play it. I'm just not going to play it because I still have other creepypastas that other people submitted that they want me to read, so I just want to do it before I finish streaming for the night. Why does YouTube keep lagging? YouTube's being wild today. Alright. YouTube be cursed too. YouTube is its own source of creepypasta. Alright, here we go. YouTube, please. What are you doing? Why are you being cringe right now? Okay, there we go. Wow, I didn't even do a like goal today. I'm already at 24 likes. Thank you guys. That's really nice of you. Alright, so that was Pokemon Lost Silver. $25. We have been trained. Yes, you have, Beluga. You are correct. Okay, and once I finish the stream, once I'm done streaming for the night, I'll put all of the creepypastas that I've read in the description. So if you guys want to go back to them and read them yourself, you're more than welcome to. That's kind of why I'm putting them on the, that's why I have them on the screen as well. So that way, if you guys want to read them, you can. You can read them along with me. Isn't that nice? You can read them along with me. Alright. Let's see. So, next one. Let me pick a different one. Hold on. I left my glasses at home. Okay. Hold on. I lost my list. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. A few of these sound really interesting. So, I want to do this one next, I think. Let me just see this one real quick. Hold on. Oh, this is a super long one. Alright, we're gonna do this one next. This one's very, very long. So bear with me on this one. Okay, so this one is called Ben Drowned. This was also a submission from the Dynamite, so thank you to whoever submitted this one. I also don't remember who submitted this one either. So I'm gonna do this one next. So thank you to whoever submitted this one. Alright, I'm just gonna put the sand over here because I'm getting it all over the place now. Hold on. No more eating sand. My blanket almost also fell. Okay. So this one is called Ben Drowned. I can actually tell you who submitted it. Hold on one second. So this was submitted by a watcher. So thank you, watcher, for the submission. I appreciate that. It sounds like candy wrappers. I had it on a plastic bag so I didn't get it all over my Gura mat. Okay. I'm not cut out for creepypastas. Pulls the covers over the head. It's okay. I'm not either. We're doing our best. Ooh, that scared me. Vrontis acts about it. Watch your post the link. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Thank you. You're eating candy and not sharing. Rude. It's sand. Do you want sand? I can give you sand. It's moldy sand. Moldy in the sense of like you can mold it. It's not moldy. It doesn't have mold on it. Okay. Sand, candy, same diff. For me it is, yes. I mean, sure, why not? Okay, we'll give you guys some sand. Here you go. Have sand. Have sand. Here you go. Sand for all. Sand for all. Have sand. Here you go. Sand for all. Alright. Next one. Let me move this bag over here. Okay. Touch sand. Touch grass. Yes. Touching sand is definitely more supreme than touching grass. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Chat. I need your help with this. This is not copy pasta. This is a long read, but I feel like my safety or well-being could really depend on this. This is video game related, specifically Majora's Mask, and this is the creepiest crap that I've ever had happen to me in my entire life. Having said that, I recently moved into my dorm room starting as a sophomore in college and have a friend of mine give me his old Nintendo 64 to play. I was stoked, to say the least. I could finally play all those old games of my youth that I haven't touched in at least a decade. His Nintendo 64 came with one yellow controller and a rather shoddy copy of Super Smash Bros. While the beggars can't be choosers, needless to say it didn't take long before I came bored of beating up level 9 CPUs. That weekend, I decided to drive around a few neighborhoods about 20 minutes or so off campus, hitting up the local garage sales, hoping to score on some good deals from ignorant parents. Wow. I ended up picking up a copy of Pokemon Stadium, GoldenEye, F-Zero, and 2 other controllers for $2. Satisfied, I began to drive out of the neighborhood when one last house caught my attention. I still have no idea why it did. There were no cars there and only one table set up with a random junk on it. But something sort of drew me there. I usually trust my gut on these things, so I got out of the car and was greeted by an old man. His outward appearance was, for lack of a better word, displeasing. It was odd. If you asked me to tell you why I thought it was displeasing, I couldn't really pinpoint anything. There was just something about him that put me on edge. I can't explain it. All I can tell you is that if it wasn't in the middle of the afternoon and there were some other people within shouting distance, I would not have even thought of approaching this man. He flashed a crooked smile at me and asked what I was looking for, and immediately I noticed that he must be blind in one of his eyes, his right eye that had a glazed over look on it. I forced myself to look at his left eye instead, trying not to offend, and asked him if he had any old video games. I was already wondering how I could politely excuse myself from the situation when he would tell me he had no idea what a video game was, but to my surprise he had a few ones in an old box. He assured me that he'd be back in a jiffy, and turned his head back into the garage. As I watched him hobble away, I couldn't help but notice what he was setting on his table. Littered across his table were rather peculiar paintings, various artworks that looked like ink blobs that a psychiatrist might show you. Curious, I looked through them. It was obvious why no one was visiting this guy's garage sale. These weren't exactly aesthetically pleasing. As I came to the last one, for some reason it looked almost like Majora's Mask. The same heart-shaped body with little spikes protruding outward. Initially, I just thought that since I was secretly hoping to find the game at these garage sales, some fraudulent BS was projecting itself in the black dots. But given the events that happened afterwards, I'm not so sure now. I should have asked the man about it. I wish I would have asked the man about it. Okay. After staring at the Majora-shaped blot, I looked up and the old man was suddenly there again, arm's length in front of me, smiling at me. I'll admit I jumped out of reflex and I laughed nervously as he handed me the N64 cartridge. It was a standard gray color, except that someone had written Majora on it in black permanent marker. I got butterflies in my stomach as I realized what a coincidence this was and asked him how much he wanted for it. The old man smiled at me and told me that I could have it for free, that it used to belong to a kid that was about my age that didn't live here anymore. There was something weird about how the man phrased that, but I didn't really pay attention to it then. I was too caught up in not only finding this game, but getting it for free. I reminded myself to be a bit skeptical since it looked like a pretty shady cartridge and there was no guarantee that it would work. But then the optimist inside of me interjected that it may be some kind of beta version or pirated version of the game, and that's all that I needed to be back on Cloud 9. I thanked the man, and the man smiled at me and wished me well, saying, "Goodbye, then." At least that's what it sounded like to me. All the way in the car ride home, I had a nagging doubt that the man had said something else. My fears were confirmed when I booted up the game. To my surprise, it worked just fine. And there was one file simply named Ben. "Goodbye, Ben," he was saying. "Goodbye, Ben." I felt bad for the man, obviously a grandparent and obviously going senile, and I, for some reason or another, reminded him of his grandson, Ben. Out of curiosity, I looked at the save file. Eyeballing it, I could tell he was pretty far in the game. He had almost all of the masks and 3 of the 4 remains of the bosses. I noticed that he had used an owl statue to save his game. He was on day 3 and by the Stone Tower Temple with hardly an hour left before the moon could crash. I remember thinking that it was a shame that he had come so close to beating the game but never finished it. I made a new save file named Link out of tradition and started the game, ready to relive my childhood. I need a drink of water, hold on. Okay. For such a shady-looking game cartridge, I was impressed at how smoothly it ran. Literally just like a retail copy of the game save for a few minor hiccups here and there. Like textures being where they shouldn't be, random flashes of cutscenes at odd intervals, but nothing too bad. However, the only thing that was a little unnerving was at times the NPCs would call me Link, and at other times they would call me Ben. I figured it was just a bug, a fluke in the programming that caused our files to get mixed up or something. It did kind of creep me out though after a while. And it was around after I had beaten the Woodfall Temple that I had regrettably went into the save files and deleted Ben. I had intended to preserve the file just out of respect for the game's original owner. It's not like I needed 2 files anyway. Hoping that would solve the problem. It did, and it didn't. Now NPCs wouldn't call me anything, where my name should be in the dialogue, where it was just a blank space. My save file was still called Link though. Frustrated, and with homework to do, I put down the game for the day. I started playing the game again last night, getting the lens of truth and working my way towards completing the Snowhead Temple. Now, some of you hardcore Majora's Mask players know about the 4th day glitch. For those of you who don't, you can Google it, but the gist of it is that right as the clock is about to hit 000000 on the final day, you talk to the astronomer and look through the telescope. If you time it right, the countdown disappears and you essentially have another day to finish whatever you're doing. Deciding to do the glitch and try to finish the Snowhead Temple, I happened to get it right on the first try, and the time counter at the bottom disappeared. However, when I pressed B to exit the telescope, instead of being greeted by the astronomer, I found myself in the Majora boss fight room at the end of the game, the trippy boxed-in area, staring at the Skull Kid hovering above me. There was no sound, just him floating in the air above me, and the background music, which was regular for the area, but still creepy. Immediately, my palms began to sweat. Knees weak, palms sweaty, mom spaghetti. This definitely was not normal. Skull Kid never appeared here. I tried moving around the area, and no matter where I went, Skull Kid was always facing me, looking at me, not saying anything. Nothing would happen, though, and this kept up for around 60 seconds. I thought the game had bugged or something, but I was beginning to doubt that very much. I was about to reach for the reset button when the text appeared on my screen. You're not sure why, but you apparently have a reservation. I instantly recognized that text. You get that message when you get the room key from Andrew in the Stockpot Inn, but why was it playing here? I refused to entertain the notion that it was almost as if the game were trying to communicate with me. I started to navigate the room again, testing to see if that was some sort of trigger that enabled me to interact with something here, but then I realized how stupid I was. To even think that something could reprogram the game like this is absurd. Sure enough, 15 seconds later, another message appeared on the screen, and again, like the first one, had already been a pre-existing phrase. Go to the lair of the temple's boss? Yes or no? I paused for a second, contemplating what I should press and how the game would react, when I realized that I couldn't select no. Taking a deep breath, I pressed yes, and I faded into a screen of white with the words, Dawn of a New Day, with subtext, beneath it. Where I was ported to fill me with the most intense sense of dread and impending fear I have ever experienced. The only way I could describe the way I felt here was having this feeling of inexplicable depression on a profound scale. I am normally not a depressed person, but the way I felt here was a feeling that I didn't even know existed. It was such a twisted, powerful presence that seemed to wash over me. I appeared in some kind of weird Twilight Zone version of Clocktown. I walked out of the clock tower, as you normally do on the start of day 1, to find that all of the inhabitants were gone. Usually with the 4th day glitch, you can still find the guards and the dog that runs outside the tower. This time they were all gone. What replaced them was an ominous feeling that there was something out there in the same area as me and that was watching me. I had 4 hearts to my name and to the hero's bow, but at this point I wasn't even considered for my avatar. I felt that I personally was in some kind of danger. Perhaps the most chilling thing was the music. It was the Song of Healing, ripped straight from the game itself, but played in reverse. The music would get louder, building up so fast as you would expect something to pop out at you, but nothing ever did, and the constant loop began to wear on my mental state. Every now and then I would hear a faint laugh of the happy masked salesman in the background, just quiet enough so that I wasn't sure if I was hearing things, but just loud enough to keep me determined to find him. I looked in all 4 zones of Clocktown, only to find nothing. No one. Textures were missing. West Clocktown had me walking on air. The entire area felt broken. Hopelessly broken. As the reverse Song of Healing repeated for what must have been the 50th time, I remember standing in the middle of South Clocktown, realizing that I had never felt so alone in a video game before. As I walked through the ghost town, I didn't know whether it was the combination of out-of-place textures and the atmosphere of the haunting melody of the once peaceful and soothing song being butchered and distorted, but I was literally on the verge of tears, and I had no idea why. I hardly ever cry. Something had gripped me here, and this powerful sense of depression that was both foreign and crippling. I tried leaving Clocktown, but every time I attempted to zone out, the screen would fade to black and I would just zone into another part of Clocktown. I tried playing my ocarina, but I just wanted to escape and I did not want to be here. But every time I played the Song of Time or the Song of Soaring, it would say, "Your notes echo too far, but nothing's happens." Oh, sorry. "Your notes echo far, but nothing happens." By this point, it was obvious the game didn't want me to leave, but I had no idea why it was keeping me here. I didn't want to go inside the buildings. I felt I would be too vulnerable there to whatever I was terrified of. I don't know why, but I came up with the idea that maybe if I drowned myself at the laundry pool, I would spawn somewhere else and leave this place. As I zoned in and ran towards the pool, that's when it happened. Link grabbed his head. Sorry, hold on. Link grabbed his head, and the screen flashed for a brief moment of the happy masked salesman smiling at me. Not Link. Me, with Skull Kid's scream playing in the background, and when the screen returned, I was staring at the Link statue from playing the song of Elegy of Emptiness. I screamed just as the thing started staring back at me with that haunting facial expression. I turned around and ran out and back into the South Clock Town. As my horror to the stupid statue followed me, and the only way I can compare this is like the weeping angels from Doctor Who. Every so often, at random intervals, the animation would play of the statue appearing behind me. It was like that thing was chasing me, or I don't even want to say it, haunting me. By this point, I was on the verge of hysterics, but not even once did the thought of turning off the console occur to me. I don't know why. I was so wrapped into it. The terror felt all so real. I tried to shake the statue, but it would literally appear right behind me every single time. Link started to begin to make weird noises I had never seen him do before. Oh, animations, sorry. I don't know where I got noises from. Jeez, I can't read. Link started to make weird animations I have never seen him do before. He would flail his arms around or spasm randomly, and the screen would cut to a happy masked salesman smiling again for a brief moment before I was face to face with that statue again. I ended up running into the Swordsmaster dojo and ran to the back. I don't know why, but in my panic I just wanted some kind of assurance that I'm not alone here. To my dismay, I found no one, but as I turned to leave, the statue cornered me in the cubby in the back. I tried attacking the statue with my sword, but to no avail. Confused and backed into a corner, I just stared at the statue, waiting for it to kill me. Suddenly, the screen flashed again to the happy masked salesman, and Link turned to face my screen, standing upright, mirroring the statue, looking at me along with his copy, literally staring at me. Whatever was left of the fourth wall was completely shattered while I ran out of the dojo terrified. Suddenly, the game warped me into an underground tunnel, and the reverse song of healing queued up again, as I was given a brief moment of rest before the statue started appearing behind me again. This time, aggressively. I could only take a few steps before it was summoned behind me again. I hurriedly made my way out of the tunnel and appeared in the southern clock town. As I ran aimlessly, in sheer panic, suddenly a re-dead screamed. Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. Suddenly a re-dead screamed again and the screen faded to black as dawn of the new day and blah, 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 appeared again. Okay. I'm not even scared. I just can't read. Okay. Sorry, I was taking a drink of water. The screen faded in, and I was standing on top of a clock tower with Skull Kid hovering over me again, silent. I look up and the moon was back, looming just meters above my head, but the Skull Kid just stared at me hauntingly with that stupid mask. A new song was playing, the Stone Tower Temple theme played in reverse. In some sort of desperate attempt, I equipped my bow and fired off a shot at the Skull Kid, and it actually hit him, and he played an animation of him reeling back. I fired again on the third arrow. A text box appeared saying, "That won't you do any good. Hee hee." And I was picked up off the ground, levitated upwards on my back, and then Link screamed as he burst into flames, instantly killing him. What? Bruh. That's wild. I've played this game before, so reading this is actually wild. I jumped when this happened. I had never seen this move used by anyone in the game, and Skull Kid himself didn't have any moves. As the death scream played, my lifeless body still burning, the Skull Kid laughed and the screen faded to black, only to have me reappear in the same place. I decided to charge him, but the same thing happened. Link's body was lifted off the ground, and by some unknown force, he immediately burst into flames again, killing him. This time during the death screen, the faint sounds of the reverse song of healing could be heard. On my third and final try, I noticed that there was no music playing this time. All that there was eerie silence. I remembered that in this original encounter with the Skull Kid, you were supposed to use the ocarina to either travel back in time or summon the giants. I attempted to play the Song of Time, but before I could hit that last note, Link's body once again heroically exploded into flames and he died. Oh my god. Never fully played Majora's Mask, now that I think about it. I did. I used I used the guide and everything, so I like tried to complete it fully. This is funny considering it's only chapter 1. I know, it's a very, very long it's a very, very long creepypasta. As the death screen neared its end, it began to chug, as if the cartridge was trying to process a lot of something. When the screen came to, it was the same scene as the first 3 times, except this time Link was laying on the ground, dead in a position I had never seen in the game before. He tilted his head towards the camera, with Skull Kid floating above him. I couldn't move. I couldn't press any buttons. All I could do was just stare at Link's dead body. After around 30 seconds of this, the game simply fades out with the message, "You've been met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" before kicking you out to the title screen. Upon getting back to the title screen and starting again, I noticed my save file was no longer there. Instead of Link, it was replaced with "Your turn." Your turn had 3 hearts, 0 masks, and no items. I selected Your Turn, and immediately when I did, it returned to the clock tower rooftop scene of my Link dead and the Skull Kid hovering over, with Skull Kids laughing and looping again and again. I quickly hit the reset button, and when the game booted up again, there was one more save file added below Your Turn entitled Ben. Ben's save file is right back where it was before. I deleted it at the Stone Tower Temple with the moon almost crashing. I turned off the game at this point. I'm not superstitious, but this is way too messed up even for me. I haven't played it at all today. Heck, I didn't even get any sleep last night. I kept hearing the reverse song of healing music in my head, and just remembering the scenes of dread I felt exploring Clocktown. I drove back to the old man's house today to ask him some questions with a buddy of mine. Ain't no way I was going there alone. Only to find out that there's a for sale sign in the front yard when I rang the door and no one was home. Now I'm back here writing down the rest of my thoughts and recording what happened. Sorry if some of this has grammatical errors and whatnot. I'm running on no sleep here. I'm terrified of this game, even more so now that I've relived it a second time writing all this down. But I feel like there's more to it than meets the eye, and that there's something calling me to investigate this further. I think Ben has something to do with this equation, but I don't know what. And if I could get a hold of the old man, I'd be able to find some answers. I need another day or so to recuperate before tackling this game again, and it's already taken a toll on my sanity, I feel like. But the next time I do this, I'm going to be recording my footage all the way through. The idea to record only came to me towards the end, so you see the last few minutes of what I saw, including Skull Kid and the LG statue, but it's on YouTube here. I see. Okay, wait. Can I show these on stream? Is that this, or does this belong to something else? Hold on. I'm going to stay in this thread for a little while longer before I fall asleep to answer any questions you guys might have, or hopefully listen to your ideas or theories to help me shed some light into this, or maybe things I should actually try to do. I think I'm going to play Ben's file tomorrow to see what happens. Maybe I was supposed to do that all along. I don't believe in paranormal crap, but this is a little messed up. But maybe this Ben guy is just a really good hacker or programmer. I don't want to think about the alternatives if he isn't. That's the end of the copy paste. I'm hoping that maybe this is some kind of running gag the developers had, and that other people have gotten gagged or hacked copies of games like this. This just really scares me. Post number 2. It's not done yet. It's not actually at the end, just so you know. Alright. Post number 2. September 8th, 2010. I'm going to post what happened and link the video footage, but last night everything got too real for me. I think I'm done messing around with this. Does this actually have video? It does. Okay. I passed out pretty much immediately after making this thread. After making that thread, but last night, the Elegy of Emptiness statue. I had a dream about it. I dreamed that it was following me in my dream, that I wouldn't be minding my own business when I'd feel neck hair staring up on my end. I would turn around and that horrible lifeless statue would be staring with those empty eyes right at me, merely inches away. In my dream, I remember calling it Ben, and never before had I had a dream that I would remember so vividly. But the important thing is I did get some sleep, I suppose. Today, putting off playing a game as long as I could, I drove back up to the neighborhood to see if that old man came back. As I expected, the car was still gone and no one was home. As I was walking back to my car, the man next door mowing the grass killed the power to his lawnmower and asked me if I was looking for someone. I told him I was looking to talk to the old man that lived here, to which he told me what I already knew. He was moving. Trying to a different avenue, I asked if the old man had any family or relatives I could talk to. I discovered that the old man had never been married, nor did he have any children or grandchildren through adoption. Starting to become worried, I asked one final question. One that I should have asked from the beginning. Who was Ben? The man's expression turned grim, and I learned that 4 doors down, around 8 years ago on April 23rd, the man informed me that it was the same day as his anniversary. That's how he knew the specific date. There was an accident with a young boy named Ben in the neighborhood. Shortly after his parents moved, despite any further attempts to talk to the man to get more information, he wouldn't divulge anything else. I went back and started playing again. I loaded up the game immediately and jumped at the title screen where the masks fly by. The sound that played was not the normal whoosh sound. It was something much more higher pitched. I pressed start, bracing for the worst. But just like 2 nights ago, the files Your Turn and Ben were displayed. Truth be told, I looked at the Ben file earlier. It seems to fluctuate between displaying the owl save and the not. I brought up the Ben file, hesitated for a moment, noticing that the stats were not the same as they originally were 2 days ago. And it seemed like he'd already completed the Stone Tower Temple this time. Summoning my courage, I selected it. Immediately, I was thrust into complete chaos. Sure enough, I was outside the Stone Tower Temple, but that's about all that was expected. The stone itself wasn't called Stone Tower Temple, but it was rather and immediately a dialogue box of complete gibberish that I could not make out greeted me. So it was stone. So ST space O space N space E. Exactly like that. Link's body was distorted. His back was cocked violently to the side where his posture was permanently disfigured. Link's expression was dull, almost monotonous. He had an expression on his face that I didn't recognize before. It was a blank look, as if he was dead. As Link stood there with his body spasmed irregularly back and forth, I examined what had become of my avatar, and I noticed I had a C button item I'd never seen before. Some kind of note, but pressing it did nothing. Sounds played back and forth that I didn't recognize from the game, almost demonic in nature, and where there was some kind of high-pitched yip or some kind of laugh or something playing in the background. I had all of 2 minutes to take in the environment before another one of those stupid Algae of Emptiness statues was summoned, and immediately after I was cut into the Dawn of the New Day screen, except this time it was out without the subtext. I was a Deku scrub in Clocktown. This scene would normally play after the first time you travel back in time. Tattle will say, "What just happened? It's as if everything has..." But instead of saying started over, she finishes her remark with a broken text, as the laugh of the happy masked salesman plays in the background. I was put back in the control of my character, but for some messed up camera angle. I was looking down from behind the door to the clock tower, watching my avatar run around as a Deku scrub. Seeing how I really have no place to go because I couldn't see anything, I begrudgingly went inside the door. There, I was greeted by the happy masked salesman who simply told me, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" before the screen whited out. I was in Terma Field as a human again. Might as well not have been playing the same game anymore. I was being warped around and there was no sign of a day clock or anything. I took a moment to get my bearings as I looked around the field and immediately could tell that this was not normal. There was no enemies and a twisted version of the Happy Mask Salesman theme was playing. I decided to run towards Woodfall before I noticed a gathering of 3 figures off to the side, one of them being Epona. As I approached them, to my horror, I saw the Happy Mask Salesman, the Skull Kid, and the Algae of Emptiness statue just staring there. I figured maybe they were bugged out, but by now I told myself that I should know better. Nevertheless, I approached them carefully and found the Skull Kid was playing some kind of idle animation on loop, same with Epona, and the Algae of Emptiness statue was doing what it had been doing all along, just standing there eerily. It was the Happy Mask Salesman that scared me more profoundly than the other two. He was too idle, wearing that crap-eating grin, but wherever I moved, his head turned slowly and followed me. I had not engaged in any dialogue with him, nor was I in any combat with him, yet his head still continued to follow my movements. Reminded of my first encounter with the Skull Kid on top of Clock Tower, I pulled out my ocarina, to which the game had the ding sound when you're supposed to play your ocarina, and I tried to play a song I hadn't played yet, the Happy Mask Salesman's own song, and the song that had been playing on loop back in Day 4, the Song of Healing. I finished playing the song, and as I did, an ear-piercing shriek blasted on my TV. The sky immediately started flashing. The Happy Mask Salesman's twisted theme song sped up, intensifying the fear inside of me, and Link exploded into flames and died. Bruh. The 3 figures stayed lit up during my death screen as they watched my lifeless body burn. I can't describe to you how sudden and terrifying the transition from eerie to terror it is. You're going to have to watch the video if you want to see it firsthand. That same fear that caused me to lose sleep 2 days ago started to grip me again, and I was met with the text, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" For a 3rd time. There has to be some kind of meaning behind that. I have little time to ponder as I was immediately given another small cut scene of transforming into Azora, and now have found myself in the Great Temple Bay. Hesitant but curious to see what the game had in store for me, I slowly made my way towards the beach where I found Epona. I wonder why the game had decided to put her here. Was the game implying she was trying to get a drink? Unable to take the mask off, I decided that riding the steed wasn't the reason she was placed here. I suddenly realized that Epona kept neighing, and the way she was angled made it look like she was trying to signal a point to me off in the distance. It was a hunch, but I dove into Great Bay and started swimming. Sure enough, I almost missed it. I found something at the bottom of the ocean, one last Algae of Emptiness statue. I went down to examine it, and suddenly my Zora started doing a choking animation I have never seen a Zora do before. Which didn't even make sense, because Zoras can breathe underwater? Regardless, my character choked to death and died, and again the statue was the only thing that was highlighted in my death. I didn't respawn this time. I was booted back to the main menu as if I restarted the console. I pressed start. The press start screen was before me. I knew the only reason why it would put me here is because the save files had changed again. Taking a deep breath, I pressed start, and I was right. The new save files told me about Ben. Now it made sense why the statue appeared when I tried to go to the laundry pool. The game must have anticipated how I would try to escape the day 4 clock tower. The two save files told me his fate. As I suspected, Ben was dead. He had drowned. The game obviously isn't through with me. It taunts me with the new save files. It wants me to keep playing. It wants me to go further, but I am done with this crap. I am not touching any more of these files. This is already way too horrifying for me, and I can't even believe in the I don't even believe in the paranormal. But I get too depressed thinking about this. The footage end up here for those who want to see it and try to analyze it. Maybe there's some kind of coded message in the gibberish or something symbolic in what I went through. I'm too emotionally and mentally drained to mess with it anymore. I see. I am kind of curious about the video though. Hold on. Oh, it's 6 minutes long. Good lord. This is wild. Hold on. The video, in fact, does show the Zora drowning. And it just shows the statue, like, being illuminated. That is pretty scary. Does it show Link bursting into flames? I don't think so. Oh, as a matter of fact, it does. That's wild. That's terrifying. Well then. Hi, thank you so much for being a part of the Dynamite. Thank you for subscribing. Hope you like my content. You joined at a weird time because I was watching a video, so I wasn't saying anything. But thank you so much for being a subscriber. Thank you for being part of the Dynamite. Hello, welcome, welcome. I feel like whoever wrote this story also modded their game to do that. That's wild. I agree. Okay. Post 3. Okay. Sorry. I'm taking a moment. Yeah, the story is from 2010. Okay. Post number 3. I know it's early in the morning. I've stayed up all night. I can't sleep. I don't care if people see this. That's not the point. I just want the word to get spread so I don't suffer for nothing. I've lost the will to type about this. The less I dwell on this, the better. I think the video just speaks for itself. I did what you guys told me to do. I played the Elegy of Emptiness song for the first prompt by the game. At the first prompt by the game I was given. But I think that's what the game or Ben. Good lord, I can't even believe I'm humoring the absurd idea that exists in the game. Wanted me to do. He's following me now. Just not in the game. But in my dreams. I see him all the time, behind my back, just watching me. I haven't gone to any of my classes. I stay in my dorm room with the windows closed and the blinds shut. That way I know he can't watch me. But he still gets me when I play. When I play, he sees me. The game is scaring me now. It talked to me for the first time. Not just using text that's already in the game. It spoke to me. Talked to me. It referenced Ben. It talked to me. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what he wants. I've never wanted this. I just want my old life back. Stuff like this just doesn't happen to people like me. I'm just a kid, not even old enough to drink yet. It's not fair. I want to go home. I want to see my parents again. I'm just so far away from home here at this school. I just want to hug my mom again. I just want to forget about the statue's horrible blank face. My original game file is back, just the way I left it before it was gone. I don't want to play anymore. I just want something bad. I just feel like something bad will happen if I don't. But that's impossible. It's a video game. It's haunted. Or it's not, it can't hurt me, right? But seriously, though, it can't, right? That's what I keep telling myself. But every time I think about it, I'm just not so sure. How long is this one? It's also 6 minutes. It says you shouldn't have done that. Oh, that's terrifying. You shouldn't have done that. Ben is getting lonely, bruh. That's wild. Okay. Post number 4. How many posts are there? There's a lot of text. Okay. Let me just clear things up. I know you guys are worried, but Jad Usable is okay. He finished moving out today and he said he's going back home. He's just taking the semester off. I'm not really sure what happened. I have a vague idea, but you guys probably know more than I do. I'm Jazz Usable's roommate, and obviously I knew something was wrong with him for a few days now. He stayed in his room all the time, fell out of contact with literally all his friends, and I'm pretty sure he hadn't been eating hardly anything. After the second day, I couldn't stay in there anymore, so I've been crashing at a buddy's place, only coming into my room to get stuff that I need. I tried talking to him several times, but he would cut me off or keep the conversation brief when I asked him about his strange behavior. It was like he was convinced something was haunting him. Yesterday, I came to grab my philosophy book and he approached me, looking awful, like horrible bags under his eyes. He handed me a flash drive and gave me specific instructions. He told me that he needs me to do one last favor for him. He finally explained to me what has been going on, and he gave me the account info on his YouTube account and told me that he's getting away from here, that it lured him to play it again instead of trying to change things, and that he shouldn't have done that, and to upload the footage and to inform people what happened. I told him that he could do it himself, and he got his wild look in his eye, and he told me that he is never looking at that game again, and that it's the last thing he said to me. He never even said bye, and when his parents came to pick him up, I never even got to meet his parents. I can't honestly tell you what happened. When he spoke, it was kind of hard to understand him, and his messed up appearance really distracted me. On the flash drive, there was footage of the game last night, a text document with his name and password for YouTube, and a third document called thetruth.txt, containing what he had told me or his notes he had taken. He told me that this meant everything to him, and that I follow his instructions exactly. Normally I wouldn't be so to the letter for this request over a stupid video game, but the way he spoke and the way he looked made me know this was really serious, and I'm going to honor that. I have had this video game since yesterday, but I've had some help. I had to have someone help me use this pinnacle. That's not really my forte. After watching it, I had to go back through and look at his other videos on his YouTube account to realize what was going on, and even then I'm really confused. The video I'm releasing tonight, thetruth.txt, will be released on September 15th, just like he requested. I hadn't dared peek at it yet, so the first time I will see it will be the first time you see it out of the respect of my friend. To answer your questions, no. I haven't tried calling him yet. I think I'll give him a call tomorrow to see if he is okay or not. He should have gotten back to me by now. About the video. In this video, I cut straight to when he loaded the Ben files in the game. Looking back, I realized that Jad Usable left the save select screen in because he said it was different names sometimes. So my bad for that. But it all said this time was the same. What? But it all said this time was the same at the end of his last video, Lincoln Ben, nothing different. I wasn't there when he played it, but it looked to me in the beginning, when he first spawns, he's testing out his equipment or something to see what items he has or something. Because apparently they've changed randomly before. Then after that, I think the game just got too personal for him. Okay. This is the last post, and then there's like a series of events. Okay. So post number 5, September 15th, 2010. Hey guys, Jad Usable here. This will be the last time you will be hearing from me, and this is my final gift to you. These are the notes that I have taken and realizations I have made. Before I delve into this, I want to thank you for following me and to thank you for listening. It feels like the weight of a powerful burden is about to be lifted. By the time you read this, I won't be around anymore, but after spending 4 days with this maddening game, I have begun to understand what's really at play here, and hopefully after reading this, we can ensure that this never, ever happens again. There are things that I could not share with you while this was going on due to the circumstances to which I will explain. With Ben blocking any attempt I made to try and relay the truth to you, I tried, ever so subtly, to warn you guys in various ways. Amidst the chaos and my delirium, I advised to make a barely noticeable pattern in my videos. In all 5 videos I recorded over the 4 days, I have either had the Mask of Truth interacted with the Gossip Stone or the Lens of Truth equipped at some point. For you Zelda enthusiasts, these are all symbols of honesty and trustworthiness, and I hope that one of you may have picked up on that. What just happened? Hold on. Something happened. One moment. Okay. Ben's haunting my stream! Ben is haunting my stream, you guys! My stream is being haunted by Ben! Ooh, spooky! Ooh, spooky! No, it's fine. The way I was sitting, I pulled out my my plug from my monitor. Okay. For you Zelda enthusiasts, these are all symbols of honesty and trustworthiness that I would have hoped that one of you would have picked up for reference. As I played the file, which I would name Ben, being mindful of how Ben was watching over my every move in the game, I made a point to avoid doing anything too obvious, but I sent out a hidden message to you guys. I never equipped the lens, nor the mask, nor visited the stone. It worked, and the video was uploaded. I prayed that someone would notice the pattern, but it didn't apply to... I was praying that somebody would notice the pattern didn't apply to Ben. The tags followed suit too. I hope you guys paid attention to those as well. They were my little messages to you. Nothing big enough that would catch Ben's attention or make him suspect anything, with Ben manipulating and changing my files. I honestly hope that what you guys saw was close to what actually happened, but there is no way for me to know. This may be a long read. I don't have time to proofread or make all of my research pretty, but here it is. Okay. September 6th, 2010. 11 p.m. I can't believe what happened. Not sure if this is some kind of elaborate hoax, despite the fear... Wait. Oh, that's why I'm so big all of a sudden. Okay, I was like, why am I so massive? Okay, there we go. 11 p.m. Can't believe what happened. Not sure if this is some kind of elaborate hoax. Despite the fear, I can't help but be exceptionally curious about this. Who or what has the statue? Lots of questions here. I'm starting this documentary as a diary so I can keep track of everything. I'm typing up a summary of what happened so I can come back to it later. Yes, Skeeto is big! Skeeto is big! Big skidoo. Big skidoo. Big skidoo. Big skidoo. Hold on. I accidentally clicked out of my stream. There we go. Okay. September 7th, 2010. 2:10 a.m. Summary was posted here. You can go back and look at my first post for day 4. 4:23 a.m. I can't sleep. I've been trying so hard, but the harder I try, the more I get restless. I just feel like that statue is appearing whenever I close my eyes. 8:20 a.m. Didn't sleep at all, just going to start my day. I don't think I have the energy to go to class today. I'm going to drive back down to talk to that old man, taking my buddy Tyler with me just in case. 1:18 p.m. Going back home now. No sign of the old man. Really weird that he appears to be moving the next day, but maybe the for sale sign was up there yesterday and I just didn't notice it. Tyler wants to know what's gotten into me what's got me all worked up. I didn't tell him. Going to eat. Feel like death. 3:46 p.m. Could have sworn driving back from Subway that I saw the algae statue buried in some shrubbery staring at me go by. Now I definitely need sleep. Do I need to go through all of this? That's a lot to read in like 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna skip all that part, but here we go. That's where my notes end. I fled my room, taking the cartridge with me. I don't want to go into the details of what happened. I'll lose my train of thought as I hammer out these last details. But it's been roughly 2 days since then. This is my last summary and my service to you, the final video you guys saw. The last video entry I made began as normal. I spawned in Clock Tower as usual and nothing seemed to be out of place. Determined to set things right and play the Oath of Order on top of the Clock Tower on the 4th day, I prepared myself. I sped up time and got to the final day, making my way to the observatory. As I got up to the telescope room and approached the astronomer, he would not let me look into the telescope. He told me that it would be cheating and that I should follow the rules. Despite my repeated efforts, the game would not let me do the 4th day glitch, no matter how hard or what I tried. Despite working around the game and doing the glitch, but there was an adamant this time. Regardless of if I simply had the illusion of free will in prior games, this time the game became more aggressive than anything I'd ever seen. It eventually told me to go to Icona Canyon, where the game would end and it would stop haunting me. Anxious and desperate to end this nightmare, I played the Song of Soaring and ended up there. I was told to check my inventory, that I would find the answers to the end of my game. I arrived at Icona Canyon and saved my progress at the owl statue. As I searched through my inventory, I finally noticed I was missing a reoccurring song, The Elegy of Emptiness. Obviously, once I traveled there and learned the song, I suppose that was the last thing I needed before Ben decided it had enough fun playing with me. Ben is a manipulator. He tries to fool his victims into security and makes you drop your guard like a Venus flytrap. It ensnares him. But I am nothing but a puppet to him. He enjoys seeing what kind of a human emotions he can tap into by doing different things. There are still some things about this whole experience that don't make sense, but then again, I never was good at figuring out these things, and I'm not exactly in the right state of mind to. I'm giving you all the pieces of the puzzle for you to analyze and piece together the missing links. Okay, we're almost done. I am typing these closed thoughts on the library computer on campus, and I've emailed myself the notes I have stored on my infected computer from the last 4 days. I'm then going to combine those copy-paste notes with the closing openings that I have typed here on the safe public computer into one text document. I'm not taking any chances of spreading Ben. I would not wish this horrible torment on anyone, and I've made sure that my bases are covered here. I didn't run into any problems with Ben when I was back on my computer trying to mail myself the notes. Went right under his stupid nose. I had no idea what he has no idea what he just let me do. I had no problems opening the text document from my infected computer in my email either. I can't describe to you how it feels to finally be able to get the word out in this post. The nightmare ends here. That said, do not download any of my videos or anything about my videos through a YouTube video, audio ripper, screen grab, whatever. I don't know how he can spread, but I know that just watching them on YouTube / reading my text won't be able to allow him to spread. Otherwise, he wouldn't have needed my help in the first place. but I strongly recommend you do not take anything you see streaming online into your own personal computer. This will be my last posting. I'm putting up this form here to spread the word. If you see any further posts from me after today's current date, September 12th, and after the current time, 12:08 a.m., discredit them. It has already been proven to me that Ben can access my account and password and manipulate my computer. It's like I said, I have no idea to what extent it can do this, but I know that it will do anything to break free. He is desperate. To ensure your safety, just forget about me, please. And obviously this goes without saying, but from here on out, do not download any images I may have put up, any files, anything. This 5th day will be my last day. I'm going to burn this cartridge and come back to destroy my laptop. Again, even though I don't know you, and this is sort of bittersweet for me, this semester I didn't really have any friends, or rather, I stopped paying attention to them. But I suppose that is partially to blame. I am partially to blame because I'm the genius who picked to live in a single, I suppose someone to get a hold of me and save me before I get too immersed into this game and have literally saved my life. However, it proved too much to me. I'm just glad it happened to me and that I could get the warning out so Ben dies here. Lastly, thank you for taking the time to open up this and open yourselves up to me by hearing my story despite maybe not believing me. You didn't have to do that. Really, you shouldn't have. Your support this entire time has kept me going and now I'm finally free again. Thanks again. Usable. God, that was long. Okay. That was Ben Drowned. Watch out, sand. Ugh. Now, a cookie to those who notice something odd about the ending. Technically, this was the first act of 3. What? Well, I'm not reading all... if there's more to it, I'm not reading any more of it. That was a lot to read. It really felt like reading someone posting their experience on some internet forum. It did seem like that, didn't it? YouTube, for the love of God! Okay. Is it because I have somebody else's stream up? Because I'm gonna raid them? Is that what's happening? If anyone wants to go further in, best to pick a video on YouTube about this. Yeah, probably. That was a very, very long read. Okay. So, I'm thinking of maybe just doing one more. Maybe a shorter one. Hold on. Now it's just not even working. There we go. Gotta go. Thanks for the stream, TTYL. Okay, bye! Good luck! Alright, we'll do one more, and then we'll call it a night. Let's see how long this one is. Hold on. That's crazy long. No, thank you. What's this one? Okay, we'll do this one. This one's not as long. Alright, so this one is called Herobrine. Thank you to whoever submitted this one. I think it may have... I don't actually know who submitted this one. Herobrine was submitted by Watcher. So thank you, Watcher, for submitting this one. This one is going to be Herobrine. It's short enough that it's not going to kill my throat because my throat is starting to hurt a little bit from talking so much. Okay. Here we go. And then after this will be the end. This is gonna be the last one, and then we're gonna raid somebody. I have somebody pulled up that we're gonna raid. Okay. So this was Herobrine. I had recently spawned in a new world in a single-player Minecraft. Everything was normal at first as I began chopping down trees and crafting a workbench. I noticed something move amongst the dense fog. I have a very slow computer, so I have to play with a very tiny rendered instance. I thought it was a cow, so I pursued it, hoping to grab some hides for armor. It wasn't a cow, though. Looking back at me was another character with a default skin, but his eyes were empty. I saw no name pop up, and I double-checked to make sure that it wasn't in multiplayer mode. He didn't stay long. He looked at me and quickly ran into the fog. I pursued out of curiosity, but he was gone. I continued on with the game, not sure what to think. As I expanded into the world, I saw things that seemed out of place for a random map generator to make. 2x2 tunnels in the rocks, small perfect pyramids made of sand in the ocean, and groves of trees with all their leaves cut off. I would constantly think I saw the other player in deep fog, but I never got to look at him. I tried increasing my render distance to far whenever I thought I saw him, but no avail. I saved the map and went on the forums to see if anyone else had this pseudo-player. There were none. I created my own topic telling of the man and asking if anyone had similar experience. The post was deleted within 5 minutes. I tried again, and the topic was deleted even faster. I received a PM from the username Herobrine containing one word. Stop. When I went to look at Herobrine's profile, the page 404'd. I received an email from another forum user. He claimed that the mods can read the forum user messages, so we were safer using email. The emailer claimed that he had seen the mystery player too, and it had a small directory of other users who had seen him as well. Their words were littered with obviously man-made features as well, and described their mystery player to have no pupils. About a month passed until I heard from my informant again. Some of the people who had encountered the mystery man had looked into the name Herobrine and found the name to be frequently used by a Swedish gamer. After some further information gathering, it was revealed to be the brother of Notch, the game's developer. I personally emailed Notch and asked him if he had a brother. It took him a while, but he emailed back a very short message. I did, but he's no longer with us. I hadn't seen the mystery man since our first encounter, and I hadn't even noticed any changes to the world other than my own. I was able to press print screen when I first saw him. Here's the only evidence of existence. And then there isn't even anything there. It looks like it's just like a chicken. Okay, well that's the end of that one. That was rather short. Alright, hold on one second. I'm just gonna see. Alright. Yeah, in the distance by the hill, you can see Herobrine. It took me like 3 minutes to see it. Oh, I see. Okay. Look towards the left of the chicken. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Look towards the left of the chicken. The left of the chicken? Oh, I see him now. Okay, it looks like Steve. I see. Okay, cool beans. Wow, that was interesting. Okay, so that was Hero Brian. Yeah, he blends in. He does. He does indeed blend in. All right. Okay. So that was fun. Sorry I didn't get to everybody's stories. Didn't expect some of them to be as long as they were. But I still had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys did too. Hopefully you guys had a blast. So I wanted to raid someone, but I don't know if I can. So the issue is that the person that I wanted to raid is subscriber only, like me. So you guys would have to subscribe to raid them. I don't know how that would work. I'm relatively new to this raiding stuff, so I have no idea how any of this works. So alright, we'll give it a shot. Why not? You guys can do it. You can do it. You don't have to do it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. If you guys don't want to do it, you don't have to, but we're just gonna, we're gonna do a sub raid tonight. So, can't type. Too busy installing Haunted Minecraft. Okay. So, once you guys subscribe, you should be able to chat. Just do the hashtag SkiddoRaid. Alright, well, I'll post the link, but thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it wasn't too scary. Please like and subscribe, all that other fun jazz. On Wednesday, we will be playing Hollow Cure. So keep an eye out for that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. Add a lot of fun. So thank you. Enjoy Hollow Cure on Wednesday. Have a great Tuesday and a great Wednesday. And hopefully I'll see you guys later. Okay. So here's the link to the streamer. Do hashtag SkiddoRaid when you go over there. And I'll see you guys there. Alright. Goodbye.